Robert Space Industries is one of humanity's oldest and most influential spaceflight manufacturers, credited with developing the quantum drive that first made large-scale exploration and colonization of the stars possible. RSI has grown into a cornerstone of the United Empire of Earth, producing everything from workhorses, civilian ships like the Aurora and Constellation, all the way down to fully scaled military ships, including today's subject matter, the Robert Space Industries Perseus. What is the RSI Perseus? Well, to make a long story short, it's a gunboat, and it does exactly what it is advertised to do: destroy and contend subcap the capital class ships. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys how I feel about the RSI Perseus after about 20 hours of flight time, either in combat, bunker busting, or just running regular missions and just trying to live in it in general. The Perseus is great, but it's not everything. But hey, I am the biggest bird in the verse, aka FC, and I'd like to welcome everyone old and new back to my channel for another video. I have experienced flying every big ship at great lengths. I have a lot of time in each of them. I have time in the Polaris, Idris, Reclaimer, 890J, Hull C, and now the Perseus. There's just something about the Perseus that has its own charm that is very attractive to me. Maybe it's the initial design of the exterior or the way how they laid out the interior of this vessel. It really feels very fleshed out and enjoyable to just walk around. Although I did have some issues when I first stepped foot into the Perseus. My biggest issue was identifying where the bridge was at. In most cases, in most ships in the game, the bridge is at the front of the vessel, but on this one, it's more towards the rear. So I caught myself many times running towards the front of the ship. I blame muscle memory, trying to make my way to the captain's quarters. But instead, I had to turn around and run backwards and go up the stairs because that is where the driver's seat is at. Now, just walking around this vessel on the interior, it is very well utilized. You have a lot of space to be able to put your items in the cargo hold, including a couple vehicles, just in case you want to do some ground operations. And then all the way down to main engineering, where you are surrounded by all the major ship components. So when engineering comes online, it'll be very easy for you to access all your components and repair them when the time comes. When it comes to movement speeds, I was genuinely surprised at how nimble the Perseus actually is. That is very important, especially when you want to outmaneuver your opponent. This is supposed to go after subcapital to capital class ships. It is supposed to keep them at bay and deter them from attacking any further by critically wounding them with those giant size 8 Medusa cannons on this vessel. Since the Perseus is quite fast and nimble, it is easily able to outperform the Polaris and the Idris. What you really want to do is stay out of the crosshairs of both of those ships' main guns. So ride the belly of them and blast them from there or their engines. When I first took the Perseus out fully crewed, I learned that the most optimal way how to utilize both main cannons on the ship is to fly the ship like an AC-130, pretty much flying around your target at a cantered angle just so both cannons can actually connect with your target. Mainly because the Medusas have a pretty limited range of movement, so you cannot fully utilize them in every way that you want to use them. So it does take a little bit of skill to pilot this ship, which will enable both of the main cannons to actually be able to connect with the target that is in front of you. Even though the Perseus is great in a lot of ways, it is not perfect. Now, this is going to be my opinion and what I've experienced with the Perseus. So if you get offended, then if it don't apply, let it fly. Also, I won't be talking about generalized bugs and issues that just occur just because the ship is buggy. Things like docking not always working or the torpedoes not always locking on target or firing. Those are just generalized issues that will be fixed in the future, so they won't be qualified for this video. It's just normal basic Star Citizen stuff and jank and jargon that a lot of us have become used to. Other than that, let's talk about this ship. The first thing that I absolutely hate about the Perseus is the placement of the armory. It's just a really weird location for such a huge armory to be put at. It's in the the back of the ship in its own little corner. You have to run through the crew quarters in order to make your way to the armory where all the armor, weapons, and stuff is going to be locked down at. That's a lot of travel distance just to be able to get to your guns and stuff. I think CAG should have placed weapon racks around the ship at strategic locations near doors and airlocks, just so it will be readily available for your personnel on board. Now, this next one is more or less personal preference, but I do wish that the Perseus had a tier 3 medical bed on board. There is a lot of space that can be utilized to throw a medical bed in. You could cut the mess hall in half and literally throw a medical bed inside of there, and it would make sense. Get rid of the pool table because we already have the basketball court, so there's no real need for that. And make that little section into a medical wing. It would fit perfectly. But since the ship's already out, I doubt anything like that would ever come out in the future. Now, when it comes to the torpedoes, I am not sure why we have an entire secondary rack for torpedoes. That does not automatically load onto the main rack once the main section of torpedoes becomes dry. I mean, we're in the future. We have futuristic ships and alien technology at our hands. You think a small conveyor system that will move the back-end torpedoes onto the actual live racks would be something that would be implemented into the game. But, just like how we don't got clickers for our ships to get in and out from a distance, we don't have automatic loading as well. Come on, CAG, you teased automatic reloading during the Squadron 42 trailer. Implement it into the game already so we don't got to keep on going back to the station to reload when we already have ammo aboard the ship ready to use. But let me apologize if that is something you actually have planned for the future of the Perseus, because as I always say, CAG do as CAG do. They could implement that for the ship in the future. So only time will tell unless CAG locks down hard and says, no, you have to move them with the tractor beam. Only time will tell. Let's now go over a very short list of some pros and cons of the RSI Perseus. There's not a lot. This ship came out and it came out swinging hard. A lot of things are working very well for the ship, minus the typical jank that applies to every ship in the game. I know that there is some issues with not being able to remove ship components, the torpedoes not firing properly, landing gear sometimes does not go up and down, the elevator button sometimes disappearing. That's just typical regular bugs and jank. The stuff I'm going to go over is more of hard point, things you can't change at all, integrated design of the ship. But let's go over these pros and cons before you decide to pick up a RSI Perseus. Starting off with the pros. 1. This thing has a lot of firepower and can be soloable and or flown with a small crew, and it can handle itself. 2. This ship is tanky. It can easily take a hit, especially if you outfit it with military components. 3. It is nimble. It can outperform the Polaris and the Idris when it comes to flying and maneuverability. 4. The floor plan in this ship is really great, especially for you engineers out there. You're going to have no issues taking care of the vessel. 5. It is almost a generalist ship. It has everything it needs to be a generalist like the Clipper. It has cargo, it has weapons, all it needs is a medical bed. Now let's talk about the cons. 1. No medical bed. Again, cut that mess hall in half and throw a tier 3 medical bed in there and it's perfect. 2. The armory location is the only weird part of the whole entire floor plan. I don't know why they put it in such a weird location, but it is what it is. 3. The PDCs feel just a little weak, give them a small little bump up. They do really good at destroying incoming missiles, but that's all they're good at. 4. Fixed docking and landing. When I go to Levski, I try to land, the ship is automatically thrown into docking mode, and since the docking ports at Levski don't work, and many other locations, it's hard to land and, re-outfit the ship, fix it, and, refuel and stuff. So it makes it very difficult to continuously fly the ship for a long period of time if we cannot land in a hangar and properly repair and fix it versus docking, since docking doesn't work everywhere. And last but not least, number 5. Please add automatic reloading for the torpedo bay. We have a whole extra 20 slots of torpedoes we can add to the ship, but sadly we are not able to just automatically reload. We have to move them manually with the tractor beam. Where in the future you think a small conveyor system would exist, but it doesn't. So maybe this is something that might be planned for the future, but right now we just don't know. So that's why I put it at the bottom of the list, because it's not huge. And that is going to be my pros and cons for the Perseus. Again, this ship is absolutely amazing. I have quite literally put down my Paladin Haven't touched it since, just because I've been having so much fun with the Perseus, running missions with the homies in the organization, just overall having a great time with this ship. It just handles the job very well without too much of any issues at all, minus typical Star Citizen janking bugs that we all come across. Personally, this ship is going to become my base for quite a long time. Luckily, it is real tanky. I'm able to just fly around and just enjoy myself. I can go do missions anywhere in the game, go to the QV station and not have to worry about being shot down, throw an Ursa down to the cargo bay, respond into it if I really need to, and just be able to have fun. The other day, I went to the distribution centers looking for the Palatino armor, and as you know, as you approach the distribution centers, there are about 10 AA guns surrounding the whole entire facility, which will automatically light you up. The Perseus handled that flawlessly. I was able to fly in comfortably, land safely, get out, look for the armor, and then fly away without having to rush. The shields held up very well, especially if you're running those military components, which will allow you to breathe a lot easier when flying the Perseus. Let me know down below in the comments how much you are enjoying this ship. What are your gripes? What do you like? What do you dislike about the Perseus? Sound off down below in the comments, because I'd really like to know what you guys like and dislike about this ship. Me personally, you've heard it, you watched the video, you know what I like and dislike. Let's hear what you guys have to say. But please, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Please slap that like button because it really does allow more eyes to see the biggest bird in the verse. But you guys already know who it is. I am FC, aka Fried Chicken. Big Bird out.